quite interesting that I heard this morning people talking about words and what words mean. And do people know what an emergency is? When you say an emergency, any idea of what an emergency is? No? Okay.
No for now.
No for now. It's not really an emergency, but anyway. Kind of no for now.
Unexpected occurrence.
A serious, unexpected, and often dangerous situation requiring immediate action. An emergency, something happened, but it's like because of a threat to you, and it will become worse if you don't address it. So basically, it's an emergency. And of course, you have emergency.
Repeat that.
I said that, well, Mr. Murphy was saying.
No, you don't define the.
No, I said that an emergency is a serious, unexpected, and often dangerous situation or hazard requiring immediate attention or action. Normally, if you don't address an emergency, it can become a hazard. No, sorry, it can become a disaster. Anybody have an idea of what a hazard is? When you hear about hazards? Yes, Louis? Right, a danger or risk, a potential source of danger. So the hazard is the threat, the risk, and usually we come to the other thing, which is a disaster, a natural disaster. We've been hearing all the time about natural disasters. What is a natural disaster?
Hurricane.
A natural disaster is a hurricane. Alright. What a disaster actually is, and it's interesting that the three answers say a hurricane. And you're right, but you're not really right. Okay? You're not wrong, but you're not really right. Because a disaster really is a major, a serious, negative or adverse, unfavorable event resulting from natural processes of the earth. So it's a major threat or a major situation which has developed resulting from natural processes of the earth, and that's why they're called natural disasters.
But epidemic could be a disaster.
What's that?
An epidemic.
Well, an epidemic, interestingly, is a medical disaster.
Yeah, right.
And normally that is a disaster which is not natural.
Yeah.
It is something man-made.
Right.
Also, explosion. Say you live in, nobody is like, lives, okay, the Murphys live by Kinfield, right? And Kinfield is a serious source of disaster because of the threat of, or the potential, the hazard of a potential explosion of a plane. Yeah. If an airline could just land on your house in Kinfield anytime, and that would be a man-made disaster, right? But when we talk about, and you have a lot of situations, but we will focus on the natural disasters. And specifically, we're dealing with things like floods, hurricanes, and strong winds, all which is like weather. And then you have
earthquakes.
Then you have earthquakes. Then you have volcanoes. The landslide is part of the weather situation. Normally, landslide happens because of rain falling and stuff like that. So it's kind of part of the weather thing. And then the other one, really as a major one, is well, we got same volcano already. And when you come with the other one, tsunamis, right? So now, interesting now. I normally focus on what I call the 4 hazard horsemen or the 4 horsemen of disasters. Now you know about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
You have one on a red horse, one on a white horse, one on the thing, and you don't see them and they come and they do one set of things, right? Now, actually, the 4 horsemen ride like a white horse, right? A hurricane and severe weather rides the white horse. Volcanic eruption, the volcano rides the red horse. The earthquake rides the brown horse. And the tsunami rides the blue horse. Because if we just check them, the volcanoes, the hurricanes and weather basically dealing with mainly wind and rain. And rain is a major factor now, but the wind, even when you see it on the satellite images, you will see a big white circle, the hurricane, and in there you have the center of the eye of the hurricane. And the fearful thing about Mario is that Mario was so large that while it was over Dominica, it still had part of it touching Guadeloupe and the other part touching Martinique. It was a very large volcano, hurricane. So really there was no place to hide in Dominica. And that was very different from what happened with that was very different with what happened with Hurricane David. Because when Hurricane David came, it was mainly on the east, Davis and those places. Rosa got an effect, but much less. But for Mario, everywhere was almost the same effect at the same time. No, young fellow, you saying something? We forget me. Alright. And in addition to those four, which are the four major hazards, I also have here, for honorary mention, home and bush fires. And I don't want to get too much into the fires today because you're going to have a fire person tomorrow. But one of the main problems with fires is really a link with climate change. What has happened in Dominica over time is that as things change, we've had a lot more lemongrass shooting out all over the place. I don't know if you've noticed it. And the lemongrass is something that spreads very quickly. But what happens is that we're now having a lot stronger and longer drought seasons. So during the drought season, it dries the lemongrass. And that is fuel for fire. And then fire erupts anywhere with lemongrass. And that's a very serious concern that should be given attention. But in addition to that, home fires is always a major problem, and we should always be, ready to deal with situations like that. So if we go back to the four hazardous men, hurricanes and severe weather basically relates to destructive winds, heavy rains, flooding and landslides. And the recommendations for persons with disability in relation to hurricanes is that they should listen to official information, shelter in place, or evacuate as necessary. So you basically, for hurricane, because a hurricane is what you would call a long fuse event, you can see the hurricane coming for a long time, and you have a long time to prepare. Even sometimes a short period for hurricane is like 2 or 3 days. That is still a long time for you to get prepared. And you can decide what to do. And that's where the importance of your plan comes in. Because according to where you live, your plan will be telling you from the time the hurricane becomes category 2, move. Because as a person with disability, you don't want to be the person coming to the shelter when everybody there and those are confusion. You want to be there early. And one of the things about preparedness in Dominica that have me is this: when people prepare and nothing happens, they vex. Boy, after I do all the things, nothing happens. But ask the people who didn't prepare after Mario, what's going on? They will tell you they wish they had prepared 200 times and nothing had happened. Because at one time the thing happened, even if you were prepared, it probably wouldn't have been enough. So you should prepare always, and your plan should tell you what to do. The earthquakes, the groundwash, basically result with severe shaking, structural damage, and landslides. The recommendations for persons with disabilities: strengthen your building if you can. It's really important. The response to earthquake is not when the earthquake is there. That is almost too late. Your plan for responding to earthquake starts before the earthquake. So you have to know what kind of structure you're living in and how best you can strengthen it, or if you would have to just agree, okay, I just have to move when the earthquake comes in. So, but the main recommendation for persons with disabilities and others during a strong shaking is to do what you call the DHC, the drop, hold and cover. Anybody heard about this?
Yes.
Okay. So here this now, I want you to pass this around. Yeah. We have got a place to do here, but then get it. For the people website, can you just pass this around? You have, that's it. You have a situation where
red and black.
no, I want people to pass it around and watch it and pass it around and thing. So what's going to happen? On here you have drop, roll, and cover. You have one of somebody who is able-bodied. They show you what to do. And then if you are using a cane, they also show you can in fact drop, roll, and cover with a cane. So you just have to put down the cane and go under. If you're using a walker, however, you can't normally bend and all that. So you sit in the walker and cover your head, basically. If you can go to an area where it's on the a walker like
No, well, we haven't got those there.
yeah, but those walkers there.
No, basically the walkers we have to
Okay, alright, okay, yes, that's a different one, okay, that's fine. And in using a wheelchair, basically you lock, cover, and roll on. You lock the wheelchair in place, and you cover your head and you roll on. Because what you're saying is this: in an earthquake, your main threat comes from things falling on top, from the top, right? So in terms of your home, you should generally try not to have things which can fall on you above you. So for instance, by your bed, some people like to have a big picture or whatever by the bed. That's bad news. In an earthquake, that's going to fall and cut your neck. Alright? Other people have fancy chandeliers all in their rooms. School, you can have your chandeliers, but don't put a chandelier above your bed. Okay? Because again, you could be sleeping and before, because remember, an earthquake is like seconds, sometimes like 2 minutes. A 2-minute earthquake is a long earthquake. In Haiti, in around 2 minutes, 250,000 people have died from the earthquake, right? So there's not much time. That is why we almost have to train ourselves automatically that when you have an earthquake, what you do is you get some cover, okay? At your home, you're on the bed, you feel the shaking. A lot of times at the bed, you feel the shaking and you say, hey, the bed's shaking now. That is too long. The bed starts to shake, go under the bed. Okay? Yes?
What if you have a fan above your bed?
If you have a fan above your bed, hello, take off the fan from the bed, put it on the side. Take off a hanging fan and get a standing fan. Really have nothing above you if possible. Now, which brings up an interesting situation. After Hurricane David, a lot of people houses lost their roof. So what do they think they do? They put concrete roofs. Now concrete roofs have two problems. You cannot really use concrete with water because the water will pass through the concrete. So normally if you're going to use concrete in your roof, you must treat it properly, and secondly, you must put a covering on the concrete. Something like the tarmac, the vitamin, the thing you put on the road. The tar, that we put something like that over the concrete, right? And actually you have special materials for that.
Yes.
And that is what it is for. You don't just put concrete on your roof. But here's the story. You want to save yourself from a hurricane and you put yourself in a trap for earthquake. So, again, especially for persons with disabilities, it is recommended that you have a strong roof, timber roof, gardeners roof, normal roof. Because what would happen in a earthquake is that the roof will just break up and pieces might fall, but real things will fall on you. Alright? So that's important. If, however, you are in a place with a concrete roof, you might be like in a two-story building and so, and look, we have a concrete roof right over us. You just have to know something, right? If the building is constructed properly, there would be steel in the roof, right? There would be some steel girders going front stuff. And if that is there, when the shaking starts, pieces of the roof will fall, but the whole thing wouldn't pancake. The whole thing wouldn't collapse on you below. Parts will fall. And that is why if you have something to cover under, you might get a blast, but you won't get dead, right? But the important thing about the earthquake is that immediately after the strong shaking, you find yourself outside. Because one tremor leads to the other and leads to the other. And in most cases, the things that come after, which is what they call the aftershock, right? The aftershock is stronger than the initial earthquake, right? So you want to be outside in an area that hasn't got any trees to fall on you or any telephone poles to fall on you. So as I told Nafu the other day and Uma the other day, if you're here and there's a strong earthquake, the recommendation is run outside and go in the area by where the bus stands. Because that area there is basically clear. It is fine enough from the pole, okay? And you have nothing to follow you from here, alright? And wait.
Under the frame of the door.
Well, that is if you can, you go outside. The frame of the door is during the earthquake. If during the strong shaking, you try to get cover in the building. But as soon as you can, you go outside. Because the next one would be worse. Right? Now understand something. When you have strong shaking, you cannot move very far. And in Portsmouth, when there was an earthquake, or there was a relatively small earthquake, people were saying that the ground was moving like the sea, and they couldn't move. That is what happens in an earthquake. Right? So what you do is you try to cover while the strong shaking is happening, and immediately after, run outside in the open and wait. You want yourself again? The earth doesn't split like that. That is a thing you see in movies. Now, we're not going to have, for the earth to split, I know this was one of the people, better just die then, I mean that. We're doing nothing. The normal earthquake is this. The main thing that happens is that the buildings shake. You have strong shaking, and actually a lot of people get more hurt by things falling from a building that didn't get damaged than from any damage from the building itself. Okay, understand that? When you have an earthquake, normally the buildings would shake, but they wouldn't fall. But things will fall in the building and affect you. So for instance, luckily we don't have any tall filing cabinets, but you know some people have filing cabinets one on top of the other. And if you happen to be right by a filing cabinet during the earthquake, one will fall on you.
You wardrobe now.
Your wardrobe careful, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Generally, for persons with disabilities, try to build your home or make your home with as little moving things as possible. Bolt them down. Bolt your cupboard, bolt this, bolt that, right? Don't have, especially where you sleep, don't have any dangerous things by you. And especially if you have low vision or no vision, know what you're going to do in an earthquake. Now, interestingly, during the hurricane, Nafu and her husband gave a very good earthquake response, which was in the height of the hurricane. They end up on the table. Now, I don't know if you know about that table, but that table is a good earthquake table. That is a table that could stand something falling. So when you're choosing a table, don't just choose any table. For instance, certainly don't choose the table we have there now. This is not a table. This is the kind of thing they call it a table. You want to have a sturdy table. You know, it could even be anything that is sturdy, right? Now the other thing about earthquake is that the earthquake is a warning for a tsunami. So hear this. You have an earthquake, strong shaking, you don't cover and hold. You don't cover and hold, right? You run outside, right? If we're here, we run outside and we want to see From here, is that what you see?
Oh, we can see it now.
You can see it over there.
We can see it.
Yes, yes, you can see it over there. Yes, yes, you can see
I
it.
see it.
No, no, remember, it's interesting. When you're talking about disabilities, you're talking about people helping people, huh? So somebody will sit for you. Understand that, as you said, a hurricane, a disaster is a hurricane, and there is no season for disaster. There's a hurricane season, but everything else can happen anytime. So everybody coming here, just start to think, where will be my earthquake spot? Yeah? Where do I go? What do I do? And one thing that happens is that if you are blind and something happens and you have no assistance, stay where you are. That is important. Stay in place. Because you don't want to be going like, okay, if it happens, nothing happened to you, but right in front there's some big thing fall. You don't even know, a big hole. And you live in the safe place you are, you just jump in the hole and break your neck. Alright? So you then have to wait for somebody to give you assistance. Alright? The other thing is this. If you're in an earthquake and you get covered, you can panic if you want, but don't cry a lot and don't pray and don't bawl a lot. Pray. Pray. Cry a little bit. Don't cry plenty because you know what? You need to conserve your strength and you need to save the oxygen around you. Because what will happen is that you're there for a couple hours and just when you believe nothing happening, you hear somebody saying, hey, anybody there?
Yes.
But you talk so much and you can't hear you. Nothing coming out. Okay? Conserve your energy and know that rescue is on the way. You have to believe that. Otherwise, it's really going to be worse for you. Suppose you have a strong earthquake here, right? And you go outside, you will hear people. Yeah? If there is a tsunami, there must be something to say, a tsunami coming. Okay, that is on the extreme if it's two of them alone. But assume there are other people, right? You would go outside, then you would notice something strange on the sea from far off. You will be seeing like the sea, like it break on the shore already, and it's like it's swollen because it's like a big wave. It's not actually a big wave. It's a displacement of water, and it's coming in. It's like a big wave coming in, and it's coming in from far. And one of the things you're going to be hearing is like the sound of a volcano, of a hurricane. Remember the hurricane sound people start to say they hear all kind of things in the hurricane, they hear a train, they hear voices and so on. You will hear some real strange things coming from the sea. The other thing you will see, one of the things you will see is that the sea will start to withdraw.
Go back.
Right?
Go back.
And then yes, going back. And then you will see people grabbing fish. Well, when you see that, run. When people just do that, just do that. People just do that. When you see that, run. And if you hear, you do not run and take a left and go up the main road, Federation Drive, because that road is where everybody going to be dealing with. You already have a back road, you go up there, you take a small right here and you go up straight. And you end up in the Lindo Park area. Now, any area which is over 100 feet is considered safe from tsunamis. Okay? So, essentially here would be a little safe, but you don't want to really chance it. You want to go a little higher, right? When you reach up by Lindo Park, you're definitely safe. So that means at your home, in your area, you need to know how far from the sea you are. And if you have a threat of a tsunami, you need to identify the safe area and how to get to it. Okay? DADP members having a plan by themselves really not making much sense. It can only make sense in the context of other plans working. That doesn't mean you shouldn't stop your planning, you should make your plan. But what that means is that you also must influence what happens at other levels. You really need, especially in the village councils, people with disabilities, there is no reason why you cannot be part of the village council or part of the disaster committee in your area. There is no reason why you cannot contribute. Say for instance, there's a disaster. Huh? You are a disabled person, but you can peel fig good, you like to peel fig. Or you like to peel dashing. Most people don't like to do that. But you are the best person for them people. They'll be looking for you before the disaster, they're looking for you. And that is not the way to get through that. Before they open there, they come for you. That is how you're there by the inside. So think of different ways of how you can be part of what is happening rather than just being a problem, okay? You really want to move early. That's the important thing, because here's the other story. If you have a evacuation shelter, you know the toilet is not accessible. Even to go inside the place is a problem, right? But if when you go inside the place, the way you get in a spot is on the second floor or the third floor, or right in the corner, far from the door, you have a problem. What you want is to be on the first floor and you want to be close to the door. So, I don't know what are the plans that people have for those things, but they should design it in such a way that the ground floor is for the infirmed, the disabled, and so, and then the other places is, you know, as a matter of fact, the stronger they are, the further you go. So like, all big strong men should be at the top in grammar school, you see? But everybody don't want to be down there, everybody want to be down, you know. And the other thing is, the new buildings, the government making for people there. I don't know if they have plans for disabled people in these buildings. I suspect they do not, in the sense of the same thing of not having particularly accessible things. But simply, if disabled people can get on the ground floor, it will be a lot better for them. No, that is where DAPD comes in now. That's where organization comes in. A lot of times you say, boy, DAPD for you, just come to the workshop and nothing happening. Go on your own and try to tell somebody in a building that you want to go on the ground floor. See, they're listening to you. Go on to Mr. He blind already. And then that's what you're telling him, you know. I blind, I want to go on the ground floor. But you check it out to me. Hey, you troublesome, you're blind already. Boy, go. I'll put you right again. No. You cannot say this to an organization that is respected. They might think it, you know. But when you get a letter saying, dear Mr. X, I wish to let you know, blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Now for the good thing. We have to watch that and say, okay, let us see what we can do. So that is where the organization helps you. And that is why you must have a strong organization and always be mobilizing. And so the question of advocacy is important. You see this area for disaster preparedness? I think that's an area DAPD can just take and own. Not only for the members, you know, but for all disabled people in Dominica. To be the representative voice. Basically, when you hear about a watch, it's basically to just take note and look out and listen. Alright? But for people with disabilities, that is your signal to move. Because the next thing is a warning. And a warning means the thing is there, it's happening. You check? So you need to realize that when you hear about a watch, listen, and make people, if you cannot see, let people help you understand what it is. But again, you raising that point which I never thought about, you know. How are you going to go in a shelter if it's not open? So, one of the main things we need to work out is how we can get the shelters open earlier. But of course, remember, all evacuation is not only to shelters. Some people plan will take them to our private homes and so. And especially these people there, that is where you have to start to move early. And I don't want to go further than that because the net people will be talking to you about it, but I just wanted to deal with this question about the watches and the warnings. Okay, the other thing is, the question of the watch and warnings for the hurricane may be the same thing that they would use for tsunamis. We started a tsunami program and I don't know what will continue, how it will continue, but essentially they would have had the same situation. Whereas we get our information from the Hurricane Center in Atlanta, wherever, the tsunami warnings will come from the Pacific Center. There is a tsunami center in the Pacific, and there was supposed to be a whole system of monitoring the tsunamis. And I think that it is still there. So if there is a tsunami, I am almost certain you would hear on the radio that there's a tsunami coming. Before Hurricane David, we never used to worry about a hurricane in Dominica. The hurricane, Dominica plenty years and so on. Hurricane David come. It was a blast. We start to get prepared. 10 years later we forget. Totally forget. When Maria come, we even want to get Erica on the thing to feel it. When Maria come, we say, what? But we forget how to get from thing. You check? So like, when we, and then we forget it already. So, but it's only what we see we believe in. We like Thomas, Thomas always doubted. What you have to do, I myself say, God give us the means to prepare. God not going to stop nothing because the whole nature happening. You imagine, if you try to stop hurricane from Dominica, you know you're putting drought in another place.
Yep.
You know? You have to make the rain come, the wind have to come, other things have to happen, and you just have to know what to do in between.
That is why we are here today. Basically, that's why we are here today. To tell everyone, each one tell one. So when wanna go back, you have to tell these people, you know, look is that and that. When one we go back, look is that and that.
Don't be a disaster tourist. I mean, really. You have people who make that to be the time to go and see the sights. Right? And really and truly, when there is a disaster, you shelter in place. Huh? You wait for the disaster to pass. And if you can, try to help in your community. I think we kind of lose or losing our humanity or Dominican spirit or whatever. Because one of the things I know when I was small is that when a hurricane comes, you always be there, you waiting, especially go by the river, you get a couple breadfruit and so on, mango coming down and you say, and you good. And then you go and help whoever. The lady house thing, you fix the lady house, help the lady house, that's what they're doing. But right now, people passing, seeing you, doing something, they're taking your picture.
Yeah.
And they go in.
And they put it on Facebook.
Huh? And they
put
go
it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And they put it almost all comments.
So that is the important thing already. We should really eliminate that feeling to be a tourist during a disaster. That is not the time to be a tourist.
It has all kind of disasters. One, it can be man-made and it can be natural. Even for man-made, the last fire we had at Watersville there. Honestly, I left here, DAPD, I was just living there when I can see the fire, and I walked down, but I stayed. That the Mr. Juiceman, as it happened, I was there about 7, and because I just came from a workshop with OTM, IOM, sorry, and evacuation, disaster management, whatever. Then I realized persons with like disaster tourists, according to you. You wouldn't imagine the car place that is at the end by Goodwill School there, whatever they do. The people came and removed their transport because there was a fire. Dominicans go and stand up on the fence. Now there is this pole on fire. Fire passing through wire going. You don't realize if the fire on the wire will break from the pole and it's swinging. The pole on fire, you don't know the pole, what can happen. And I said, look at where people are. Now that is a place that have cylinder, it have all kind of thing in it. And look the fire. Everybody want to take picture, but I write up by the church. Now my disaster plan, I by the church. If I am blue, I already in the corner. I not in the open because everybody in the open, everybody right at the front.
And what you can see about a fire is a fire. You cannot see more. You cannot see. You see the fire.
it yourself. So it's not, I mean, yes, we talk about natural disaster, but even those kind of disasters, there's a fire. What do you do? What do you do in
But
case of
the main
fire?
thing about fires is this, which I show the fire service tomorrow. Leave the fire to the professionals.
Yes.
The most you can do if there is a fire, before the fire service arrives, if you can, you will do a bucket brigade, which people doesn't even do anymore. Alright? Other than that, and especially when the fire people come, know that it's they that know about fires. And leave them take care of the fire. Because people like say, oh, it's a stupid, they know fire is a technical thing. And the people know what they're doing. Okay? So essentially, in terms of a person with disability dealing with a fire, you try to make your home as fireproof as possible. If you see a fire in your kitchen, you might be worried about the fire you see where it's going, and you will be reacting to that as opposed to stop the fire source. If you try to out the fire where it's going, you might have an issue. But if you pull out the source, the fire will die out. And then you will make a point that if you take any cloth, especially if you wet it and put it over the fire, generally, especially with people with low vision or no vision, it's probably a good idea to have a fire blanket around your stove area. So the whole idea is stifling the fire as much as possible, right? But the other thing is, really and truly, during a fire, it is not making much sense, and it is totally not safe to be around close to the fire while the firemen doing the thing.